Now, I recently moved to Cape Town as a digital nomad, and
Realistic day in my life as a digital nomad working in Cape Town.
A day in the life of a digital nomad in Cape Town.
Me and my best friend moved to South Africa, so spent our first day together living and working in Cape Town.
Welcome to a day in the life of a digital nomad slash entrepreneur slash freelancer in Cape Town.
If you're coming to Cape Town, here's everything you need to know. If you're American, you can come to South Africa without a visa and stay for 3 months, which is amazing because a lot of the other surrounding African countries require a visa and it's like $50 to $100.
So you want to move to Cape Town, South Africa, where the cost of living is 66% lower than the US. Rent is 71% cheaper, and you could live comfortably with $1,250 a month.
Cape Town is truly a magical place. Like, it's the most beautiful city you'll ever go to. Like, the beaches are like the Hawaiian beaches. The mountains are unlike any others. The wildlife, obviously, and the safaris. I had the opportunity to live a 5-star life on a 3-star budget. Costs a half to a third to a quarter of what it would in Canada or the United States. So it allows us to live a high quality life on a low budget.
Welcome back to the channel, beautiful people. In today's video, we're going over the saga of the whole digital nomad problem that seems to be occurring in Cape Town. Before we can talk about this whole topic, I just want us to go over the definition of what a digital nomad is.
Digital nomads are people who travel freely while working remotely using technology and the internet.
Now, Cape Townians seem to be upset with the apparent influx of foreigners with the dollar, euro and pound buying power, and they seem to be driving prices up and making things unaffordable for the locals who are using the rands. Rands is the South African currency. With a simple Google search, we'd be able to see that Cape Town is the most visited city in South Africa. Now, with most of those visitors coming from European countries, we can see how this then turns around and drives prices up because the city starts to set itself up in a way that favors tourists, and we all know that money talks. So prices will go up in order to accommodate the stronger currencies that are coming into the countries. In this case, it would be the dollar, the euro, the pound, and scrapping the rand prices to go for the dollar prices.
I don't know if you guys came across this video of this African lady, and she was like speaking about being in a room filled with illegal white immigrants in South Africa. And I think she was saying in Cape Town specifically. But that becomes scarier and scarier to me every single day. And like, unlike with other African immigrants coming into South Africa, it's like these people have the means to afford a decent life and aren't necessarily running away from anything, but their presence pushes us out of our own country. Like, it's way scarier than this false idea of African nationals stealing jobs. These people are literally pushing us out of our own country. We can't afford to live in these spaces anymore. And that's because like a huge part of real estate in the Western Cape is owned by white foreigners. But it becomes harder and harder for an average South African to afford living in Cape Town. The cost of living here is insane only because of the rent. Like, everything else is pretty decent, like Ubers, food, whatever. But the rent in Cape Town is insane. And I can't even like wrap my head around the fact that anyone can like afford to live here comfortably without stress.
That then introduces us to the term gentrification. I had to say that slowly just in case I butchered up the word because wow, it's wordy. It's a wordy word.
Gentrification is a process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing and attracting new businesses, often displacing current inhabitants in the process.
Now, gentrification is a worldwide phenomenon And I wouldn't say it's necessarily caused by the digital nomad, even though they are getting the most hate because they are documenting their stay in South Africa, and it's a place where we can physically comment that we don't want you staying in our city because you are making prices go up for us. But it wouldn't be fair to say that they are the sole cause of gentrification. It would be more to do with the rich and middle class foreigners coming into the country with their stronger currencies to live in the city. Because of the way that the city is set up, they can get the benefits of living somewhere that looks similar to their home or where they come from, but at a cheaper cost. And yes, the costs are cheaper for them, but they make the costs higher for us as the locals who use the cheaper currencies or the weaker currencies. So there is a reason why Cape Town is one of the most unequal cities in the world. And it's a really sad thing to see that the hyped part of Cape Town is so small. It's such a small area compared to the areas where the rest of the masses live. And that's something I saw when I visited Cape Town earlier this year. The Cape Town CBD is beautiful. The infrastructure looks clean, like everybody always brags about it. But it's just such a small concentrated area, and then when you leave the other areas, that's when you start seeing a massive difference, and it's just not okay. How the masses, especially the black people, are just pushed out to the outskirts of the city, and they are left to basically fend for themselves.
In the life of a digital nomad in Cape Town. I started the day by meeting up with a follower of mine and a new friend, Taylor. We went for a little walk on the promenade. We watched these guys landing. I've actually been paragliding in Guatemala and I almost threw up over an entire town. Never again, never again. What I love about Cape Town is people are already laying out and swimming in the freezing water so early in the morning. Afterwards, I headed over to a little cafe to get some work done. I work remotely while I'm traveling, so if you have any recommendations in Cape Town for any cafes or coffee shops where I can work, please write them in the comments. I would love to hear. After a couple hours, I headed over to Clicks, mostly just to check out everything that they have, but I did pick up quite a few things for my apartment. I really needed a fan. I did some more work and then I went for a walk to explore the neighborhood I'm staying in a little bit more and check out some shops. And then, oh my gosh, a couple of you guys recognized me from TikTok and said hi. Thank you so much. It literally made my day. If you see me in public, please say hi. And then I ate mac and cheese in my window and watched the gorgeous sunset. It wasn't the most eventful day, but I just wanted to show you a realistic day in the life. Not every day is going to be super touristy doing cool things. But anyways, that's it. Follow for more of what I get up to in Cape Town.
And if it's not apparent to you, it's the fact that they are palm-colored people that are mostly in that video. But for now, they aren't complaining because they can still afford to live in the city. And especially knowing the fact that white South Africans are the highest paid group of people in the country. So for now, things are handy-dandy, things are hunky-dory for the fact that they can still afford to live there. But the real question is, for how long? For how long will they be able to afford to live in Cape Town? It's only a matter of time until your rich in rands gets pushed out by rich in dollars.
How's it? This is a message for my Cape Townians. In fact, it is a warning. So I suggest you heed this call and you listen closely. What is happening in Cape Town is unsustainable. That little utopia is going to combust. And granted, at this stage, it is black and brown people who cannot afford to live in the city, so no one cares. But white South Africans, you are next. I promise you. Because the rand is the rand is the rand, is not the euro, as not the dollar. And you, at some point, will also be outpriced of living in that city. If you guys don't do something about it, if you don't address this issue head on, you too will no longer be able to afford to live in the little utopia that you call Cape Town. And let me tell you one more thing. Johannesburg is full. It is so full. So you will be relocating to Bloemfontein. I am warning you. Watch out.
And most of the times, it's only when the white South Africans get uncomfortable with things, then the government decides to go,
Oh shit! Oh shit!
And only then will they get up and start doing things about the whole situation. Well, at least it feels that way, because I'm remembering that situation of there was a guy that was in a public hospital and he was not happy. He was a white man. He was not happy with the way he was being treated in the public hospital. And us as black people, when it comes to public hospitals, we just know if you're going to a public hospital, just take whatever you get and keep quiet. Don't complain. But that white man was not having it. He went on TikTok and he complained and he said, I don't like the treatment that I'm getting here. And lo and behold, the news outlets were all over it. The minister was on it and he just got a lot of attention and he was able to get people to act. Whereas black people have been complaining about government hospitals for the longest time, but nothing happened. No attention was given to their complaints, which is why I'm saying that it's only when the white South Africans blah 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 blah, yeah, you get
the rest of the world together here now that the Americans are asleep. South Africans in particular, we need to talk. Joburgers, Capetonians, you're in danger, girl. The digital nomads are coming. I fear Gqeberha, Kimberly, Bloem, you're in danger too. We've got to close the doors. We've got to close the doors. Like, the cost of everything is already sky high. We can't let them in.
The funny thing about her video is her saying, close the doors. Like, it's physically going to make a difference. It's literally not going to change the fact that people are going to come in. If they can legally come in, they will. And like I said previously, this is a never-ending cycle that happens not only in the country, in other parts of the country, but in the world at large. And it's really just a thing of money talks. If you got the money, then we will do anything for you, because there's a lot of cases where gentrification happens and people can't do anything about it, because if you don't have the money, you can't afford to live in the area and you just have to take your poverty to another area, because this is our area now as the rich people. Like, I would say a more commonly used example would be Hawaii or Hawaii. I don't know how to say, but yeah, people were saying Hawaii, so I'll say Hawaii, but I've always known it as Hawaii. It's really sad to see how money governs our lives, but it's also a reality we can't change, which is something that really sucks. Money talks, money talks, money talks, and if only there was another way.
For people wondering why Native Hawaiians are begging people to stop moving to Hawaii, in the house I'm in right now, my grandmother bought this back in 1955 or so for $25,000. It is now 2021, which is 70 or so, 65 years later than that, and I just looked up my house on Zillow. This is what it's currently at, from $25,000 in 1955 to over $1.8 million in 2021. The median income of somebody in 1955 was about $22,000. For proof, here's about 1955. That's the 22,000 line. The median income of somebody right now in Hawaii is $35,000. Right again, right here. Median income 2019, $35,000. If the median income has only increased about $10,000 in the past 65 years, but houses have gone up from 25 grand to 1.8 million, give or take, there is no feasible way for natives to continue to sustain themselves and live here in our homelands in Hawaii. This is why we are so upset about Mark Zuckerberg purchasing 600 acres of land in Kauai and taking that away from natives. This is why we are so upset about people on TikTok making moving to Hawaii with absolutely nothing a trend. Houselessness here in Hawaii isn't a trend. The U.S. sends their homeless population to Hawaii. They give them a one-way ticket to Hawaii to get rid of the homeless and houseless problem in their lands, and they send them to us because they figured that these houseless people would rather live in a place with no snow or harsh weather conditions here. And not to mention that Native Hawaiians have the highest houselessness rate in Hawaii. And I say houseless instead of homeless because we are not homeless. Hawaii is our home. We just can't afford to live here anymore. And this is
definitely a different tone than my other videos because I'm past the point of being mad. I'm exhausted, as I'm sure hundreds and thousands of other Native Hawaiians are. We're exhausted. It's tiring. It's stressful to continue to educate people about why it's so wrong when people are just blatantly ignorant and do not want to acknowledge the signs and the facts and do the research and education for themselves. The research and the facts are out there on the internet. Anybody can use Google. It's whether someone chooses to acknowledge and accept the truth and realize that their actions have real consequences on anyone else but themselves. So please, I know this one TikTok might not prevent someone from moving here, but just think about your actions and your consequences about what they have on Native Hawaiians.
Like, it's so annoying that our wages as the normal people on the ground barely increase at a rate that's fast enough for it to stay in touch with the living standards. You'll always hear, oh, food has gone up, petrol has gone up, electricity has gone up, water has gone up, rent has gone up. But when it comes to wages and salary, silence. That's all you hear. It's silence. It doesn't go up. You have to get people fighting and striking in order to get a 2 rand increase. A 2 rand increase. Yet so many things have gone up. And don't forget, school fees have gone up too. It's really just so unaffordable to live at this point. Okay, enough ranting. Coming back to the whole digital nomad thing, the most annoying thing about this whole situation is when you see non-locals busy giving out invitations to people to come to Cape Town. They're like, come to Cape Town, this is such a beautiful city, and blah 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 blah, and the locals are like, hell no! In conclusion, although it's really sad what's happening in Cape Town and also other parts of the world, which is gentrification, it's really up to the government to pass legislations and laws that will make this whole situation sustainable for foreigners and the locals alike. One of the suggestions that I was seeing on TikTok was that the government should implement prices for foreigners and prices for locals respectively. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment down below, and also if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing just to help a small channel out. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!